I've been living, training, and fighting in Thailand for 1 year now, and here's my story. What is going on, guys? It is Don the Machete here, and for you that don't know me, or you're new to the channel, or you just stumbled across this video, I'm currently training at a Bangtao Muay Thai and MMA in Thailand, Phuket, and I'm living my dream, and this is probably one of the best decisions that I've ever made in my life. It's probably the best decision, but this isn't where I started out, you know. I was originally from Australia. I've been training Muay Thai for about 5-6 years before I come out here. Done karate my whole life since I was 3 years old up until I was 15 before I started doing Muay Thai. Did a few years of boxing in between that as well. And yeah, this is just the story of why I came out to Thailand, kind of the whole journey and the process and the lessons I've learned and the things that you can take away from my journey. So this is just going to be off the top of my head, minimal edits, and I'm just going to go with the flow. So it was 2022, start of 2022. I was a personal trainer and I was just finding it really hard to get clients and basically do my thing because my main focus I wanted it to be fighting. I didn't want it to be personal training. I just wanted personal train on the side just so I could make some money, stay in the gym, all that type of stuff. And it just got to a point where I was putting so much focus into my personal training and I really wasn't getting a return out of it, and I just didn't really want to keep doing it because my fighting and my training and all that was suffering. So I spoke to one of my coaches, Mr. C from Strikeforce Gym. Just making sure that's on. Yeah, I spoke to one of my trainers, Mr. C from Strikeforce Gym, and he basically said to me, like, look, it's been one of your dreams to go to Thailand and train and fight since you were 16, because I had a good mate, Josh King. He went over to Singtanoi's gym, trained there for about 6 months, had 5 fights, 5 wins, fought at Lumpini Stadium, main event, won that, did some big things. So that really inspired me to want to go over to Thailand and do that type of similar thing myself. So Mr. C just said to me, just fucking save up your money, make your dreams a reality, book the flights and go. So after this, I spent probably about three to 5 months just saving as much money as I could. Any work I could do, I was doing. I was doing landscaping, furniture removal, I was doing PTs, I was just doing anything and everything I could. So saved up the money, had one last fight in Australia, my last amateur fight, and then yeah, I fucked off to Thailand where so let's go back a little bit. So I wasn't sure what gym I wanted to go to. I thought I wanted to go to Singtanoi's gym just because that's where my mate Josh trained. And that's kind of where I was set on for a while. But one of my coaches and one of my friends that actually trained at Singtanoi's gym said to me that I should probably go somewhere else just to start off with, just because Singtanoi's is such a hard gym. Like, it's known as the hardest gym in Thailand. And he said you're probably better off going somewhere else to start off with to ease into Thailand and then go there. So I spoke to some of the boys at the gym, and I decided on going to Smart Pakaroon's gym. Now, at the same time, Jagger Chan, boy from Strikeforce, he ended up going to Eminent Air. So I wasn't completely alone. I still had someone in the same vicinity of Bangkok. So I went to Smart Pakaroon gym. He went to Eminent Air, and then there just ended up being other Aussies like David Borg, my mate Cody Kelly, like a few of the Aussies, Lucas McAdam, who's from New Zealand. Yeah, so I had a good circle there while I was there. It's not like I was completely alone, but I was alone at my own gym. So I ended up being at Smart Pakaroon's gym for about 2 months. I paid 2 months up front. And it was a great gym. You know, I learned a lot. I got some very focused attention because I was one of the only foreigners that has like stayed there properly, like in their rooms. So I was staying there, and I got a fight about a month in, and I fought a tough Thai, but I beat him, and it was a good fight. Was happy with it. And then yeah, the Thai that was around my size, he wasn't even really around my size. He was the biggest Thai they had. He fought at 60 kilos. I normally fight like 70 to 75 kilos. 75 only if it's like same day weigh-ins and they just don't cut weight. But 70 kilos is my weight class. So yeah, had a Thai that fought at 60 kilos. He was my main clinching partner. He was strong. He was good. But that's the biggest guy they had. So by the end of the month, it was coming up, and you know, I was obviously had to pay again. And I was like, I don't know if I really want to stay here just because there's no one really my size. Like, I'm getting good quality training, I'm getting good quality sparring, but it's mainly kids here. It's mainly like younger fighters, and I'm learning a lot. I'm getting a lot of attention on pads from some legends. Like, I trained with Diesel Noy, I trained with Samart Pakaroon, I trained with Super T. Like, there's so many top level legends that I train with, and I'm incredibly grateful to have gotten that training. But it was just the size difference of me and my training partners. So after that, I spoke to one of my mates who was training in Isan. He was also from the same gym as me in Australia, Michael. And he just said to me like, man, come out here. Like, this gym is amazing. There's so many Thais around your weight, like 70 kilos. They're strong. Like, they were putting him, and he was a big dude. He fought at like 85 kilos. So he was a big dude, and he was saying like, man, these Thais are working me. So you're going to get good quality clinching and training in. So I said, all right, I'm going to go to Isan. So I spent about a week at Sassy Prapa just while I kind of sorted out the whole Isan thing. So yeah, I went to Sassy Prapa just because I had a few mates there, trained, and I had a fight booked for the Isan gym. That fight was in Phuket, Bangla Stadium. Obviously, it sounds weird that, if you know what Bangla is, like, it sounds weird that an Isan gym would send you to Bangla, but it was one of the biggest shows of Bangla for the year. It was the owner of Simbi. It was his birthday. So it was a proper show where everyone weighed in. It wasn't just like a classic Bangla show where you just show up and fight. So anyway, did my week at Sassy Prapa. They knew I had a fight coming up, so they pushed me hard, and then ended up going out to Isan. So I remember when I first got to Isan, I walked through the airport and everyone was just looking at me like I was a fucking alien. Like, they were just looking at me like, what are you doing here? Like, you know. So anyway, met Michael. We went back to the camp, and I was 10 days out from the fight. So I was a little bit sick, so I took the Sunday off, rested, fucking got all my vitamins in and all that. I was already fit, so I wasn't too stressed about taking a day off. Took the Monday morning off just because I was still a little bit sick. Anyway, Tuesday comes around, and my first training session in Isan. So we wake up at 6 a.m. to start our 10-kilometer run. We go out the door, and it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. So there was this one Thai, he would have been about 55 kilos. He has a big ass cone, grabs it and just puts it on his shoulder and starts running down the road. And then the trainer looked at me and he just point, and he's just like, go. Or he said like, Lao, which means go in Thai. So anyway, I start following him, and this Thai's just running with this big ass cone on his fucking shoulder. And then he runs like however far it was, and he just puts the cone down. And then he has another cone, and he keeps running, and he puts the cone down. And then run to that cone, run back, and we get back to the gym. So up to the cone and back, that was 1 kilometer. And then he picks up 2 more cones and he starts running the other way and does the same thing. And then he says, 5 times. And I'm like, okay. So we did that 5 times. That was 10 kilometers. Get back in the gym, do some clinching, do some pad work, all that stuff like that. And then, okay, now you sleep till the afternoon session. Great. And train like that for 6 days. And then we went to Phuket on Monday. So I wanted to check out Bangtao Muay Thai and MMA while I went to Phuket, just because this was before Bangtao was really known as being a Muay Thai gym. This is when like they were known for being a Hickman wrestling gym. And I just wanted to see what the wrestling was like, just because MMA is eventually what I want to get into. But for now, I was focused on Muay Thai. So anyway, went to Bangla Stadium, had my fight, weighed in. I fought a really good English dude, Liam, and he's doing some good things in MMA now, but he was mostly an MMA fight. I think it was his first or second Muay Thai fight. But yeah, anyway, I just kicked. He was very good with his hands, gave me a black eye. It was a tough fight, but I ended up winning. Got the Bangla Championship belt, which everyone has, but this one felt a little bit special just because I was training out in Isan, getting that hard training. It's not like I was just training at some shitty Phuket gym and then just got thrown in there, you know? So that title kind of meant more to me, and it was my first title in Thailand before I kind of knew what Bangla was. So yeah, spent an extra week in Phuket. Had a Thai girlfriend at the time, so she came from Bangkok. Spent a bit of time with her. We went to like Rawai, checked out Rawai, and then eventually ended up getting a Sakyan tattoo. This one here, boom, got that in Bangtao. And one of the guys back home, Benny Johnson. So Benny Johnson got me in contact with Frank Hickman, because Benny has worked a lot with Frank. He has gone over to Israel Adesanya's Camp City kickboxing, trained there. So he's obviously got a good relationship with Frank. So he just created a group chat, said like, hey, this kid from Australia, Gold Coast, he's a good kid, just welcome him to the gym. So I was like, all right, cool. So that was kind of my ticket. Walked in, met Frank, told him who I was. I was like, hey, I spoke to you on Instagram, you sick cunt. So yeah, he invited me in. I watched the wrestling, and then I just kind of like went around looking for accommodation for Bangtao. And yeah, I couldn't really find anything that was cheap, because obviously me being used to Bangkok and Isan cheap, Bangtao is a lot more of an expensive area. I'm lucky to have found something cheap now, which I will get into. But yeah, eventually leave Bangtao, leave Phuket, and I set it as a goal like, right, in the next few months, or maybe in like next year, I'm going to go over to Bangtao and I'm going to practice my wrestling, and I'm going to get really good at wrestling while still doing my Muay Thai. So anyway, I end up getting a fight booked from this Isan gym in Korea. It was a massive fight, very big promotion, K1 fight, and I was going to be fighting a good Korean dude. He had good hands, but I just knew that my kicks are good, my teep is good, so if I just keep it long, keep kicking him, I should win this fight. So anyway, that fight's booked, and then I end up just getting really fit just because Isan training is hectic, and it was like 6 or 7 weeks out from the Korea fight. I just said, hey, can you book me a fight this week? And it's like, cool. It was Wednesday, and they said, okay, you fight Friday. Ended up going out there, had that Isan fight. It was a mad experience just because like it was in the middle of nowhere. We drove for like 3.5 hours, like the night of the fight, just to get to the fight, like a little backstage thing. I just fought some really tough Isan kid. He copped shots. Like, Isan Thais are just built different. Like, you punch a Phuket Thai or you punch a Bangkok Thai sometimes. I'm not saying all Bangkok Thais, because Bangkok is like the mecca of Muay Thai, but you punch them, sometimes they'll just go down. Like, they just want a paycheck. But these Isan guys, like, their bodies and their denseness is just different. So anyway, fought this kid, got the win. And yeah, then I went back to Isan. I was training, and then one day I wake up and my leg was a balloon. So it was very big. I had cellulitis in my leg. They take me to the hospital, get me on all these antibiotics. I get IV antibiotics. I get oral antibiotics. I get basically everything just because of how big my leg was. So anyway, after a few weeks, the pain starts to go down, and I'm just like, okay, I'm currently like 5 weeks out from this Korea fight. Let's start training again. So I start training. I'm not running yet. I'm just doing the bike, doing that bike and punching and all that. And then, yeah, so doing all that, and where was I? Yeah, anyway, so get to about 4 weeks out and I start running again, and then my leg starts to swell up and it starts to just get more disgusting, and I'm cleaning it every day at this point. But eventually we just got to the point where I spoke to one of my coaches back home. I showed him what my leg looked like, and he's like, mate, that is fucked. You need to come home. Spoke to my parents, and they're just like, yeah, we really want you to come home, Dylan. So yeah, I really wasn't happy about that, because obviously this being a big career fight, I wanted to, you know, show up and perform, and like it was going to be a good payday as well. So that always helps. So yeah, I was going to go to Korea, fight, win, get that money, and then I was going to go to Bangtao for my last 6 weeks just to see what it was like. So anyway, long story short, go home. I end up having a fight in Australia. Stupid me. That fight's on YouTube, me versus Jackson Heyman. Our second fight, we fought once as an amateur, once as a pro. And yeah, I ended up losing that fight because I took it on 2 weeks' notice off a staph infection. And me being a silly cunt, I went 5 kilos up in weight, 75 kilos. And that cunt is now fighting at 79 kilos. He's a good kid. Jackson, he's gotten a lot better since our fight. I've gotten a lot better for our fight. Maybe if I end up filling out a bit more and getting stronger and bigger, we could potentially see a third fight down the line, but I'm not really focused on it right now. I've got my things that I'm doing in Thailand. So anyway, that happens, and then I'm back in Australia, January. I'm saving my money. I'm working a lot. I'm training. I want to get a couple fights in Australia before I leave, and then I get swept in clinching and land on the back of my head really badly. Get a mad concussion. This affects everything. This affects my training. I couldn't train. This affects my work. I could barely work. I couldn't hold pads, which is like one of my main incomes. Couldn't hold pads just because even me shadowboxing, just that would cause such bad rattles in my head to where I felt like I was going to vomit. So anyway, yeah, we went through the whole process. It was a long process to get that concussion down, but I had a fight booked on April 22nd on Eruption Muay Thai, which is one of the biggest shows in Australia. Paul Demacoli is a great promoter, and he knows how to promote fights well. He got me well matched. So anyway, I had an opponent booked for that. And anyway, long story short, I saw a concussion specialist, Dan Brown. He got me to like where I was pretty good. And then 2 weeks out from that fight, I was boxing sparring James Honey, one of the best super middleweights in Australia around my weight. And that cunt hit me so hard in the head, and I started to get symptoms. I felt like I was going to vomit. I didn't tell my coach, Mark Pease, but I told James. I was like, bro, I feel fucked. And he was like, fuck, I'm so sorry. Like, it wasn't intentional. It's just one of those things that happens when you're training and you both close for a fight, because James was the main event. I was on the undercard. So anyway, that happened. And then Saturday morning comes along. I go into the gym for my last sparring session, and Peasy says to me, oh, Dill, like, you've got a new opponent. You know, this this kid's pulled out, but now you're fighting this guy. And it was like completely different style. And I was just thinking like, fuck, like this is a harder fight. I don't know if I should take this fight just because of like the concussion flared up. And then I spoke to my concussion specialist and he was just like, I would advise you don't fight. But I'm not going to make that call for you. So I called Mark and I speak to him about it. And he basically just says to me like, look, you're fucking good, man. Like your defense is on point. You're strong. You hit hard. You just got to be smart and you're going to win this fight. I truly believe that you're going to destroy this dude. So then I just mentally said to myself, okay, I can fight. I just can't get hit. And then I went in there and put on one of the best performances of my career, getting hit 6 times clean in 3 rounds and finishing my opponent in the last 30 seconds with leg kicks. So anyway, that happened. Save up my last couple grand in the last few weeks and come over to Thailand, Phuket now being Bangtao. Came here, got my visa sorted, all that stuff. And now I'm training out of Bangtao. And I remember I get to the gym and I was just like cooked just because I got here on like a Friday night and then Saturday morning I'm training. So I throw like 1 kick on pads and they're just like, this kid's not a retarded tourist. And then they just like put on a belly pad and they like hold pads me properly. And then they're just like, oh, you want to fight like next week? And I was like, okay. So anyway, they got me on a Bangla Stadium show again. So back to Bangla we go. And it was a Bangtao show. So Bangtao sometimes, like I think it's 2 or 3 times a year, they have shows where like the whole gym goes to the stadium. And yeah, the whole gym goes to the stadium. Everyone's watching. So it was really good in that aspect because everyone got to see me perform. So it was my first 10 days of being at Bangtao. I was the main event. I fought a Russian kid who he was a bit of a spastic and ran forward. But anyway, my left kick and my elbows, I ended up stopping him with a left elbow, knocked the kid out. And then I got up to Savas, Michael, and I was like, bro, like, I can finally talk to you, bro. Like, I'm not starstruck anymore. And then I was like, bro, give me a photo with you at John. And he's just like, yeah, bro. And then anyway, he was just like to me, bro, why don't you just left kick, bro? You're a southpaw. Like, why are you throwing elbows? And I was like, I don't know. But anyway, that'll come back into account later. So, before I actually came to Bangtao, everyone was saying to me like, oh, you're gonna spar with Savas Michael, you're gonna train with Savas Michael, that's gonna be so sick. I was like, bro, I'm going there for the wrestling. I don't even know who the fuck this Savas cunt is. But anyway, when I ended up getting to Bangtao and I like saw Savas a few times, I like see him in the distance, then I started watching more of who he is and I was like, shit, this cunt is like very good. But anyway, and then they wanted to book me for another fight, but I kind of wanted to focus on 2 things. I wanted to focus on MMA for a little bit and I started to get some concussion symptoms coming back. So I was boxing sparring one of the guys here and like he rocked my head back really bad and I started to get like my power output wasn't much. I couldn't hit as hard on the bag. I started to feel like vomiting and all that stuff like that. So I just had to manage it and I just said like, yeah, I'm going to go wrestle for a while, which ended up working out pretty well because a few months later I ended up having my first MMA fight for the gym, which was an amateur MMA fight at Southside. Controversial decision for that one. Everyone that has seen that fight thinks that I won it. I was fighting a striker. And yeah, I believe that I won that. I'll check that link in the description if you want to watch that fight. But anyway, doesn't matter. Now I'm back to Muay Thai. So ended up going back to the Thai coaches and they said, oh, you want to fight in 3 weeks in Koh Samui? I was like, hell yeah, I do. So anyway, start getting close to the fight and staph infection comes back. So I got in staph like a few times before the MMA fight. But yeah, that's just kind of what happens while you're out here and your body's getting used to it. So anyway, I got really bad staph in my knee. I've got a scar there for the rest of my life. I'll show you guys what it looks like. I've done a video on like the whole process of the staph. Like I've vlogged that shit, so you can go check it out down below if you want to. Don't do what I did. Anyway, anyway, I had to pull out of that fight. I said to my coach, like, I really want to fight, like, let me fight. And he was just like, mate, I'm not letting you fight because if you get kicked in that leg, like, we don't know what's going on inside. So anyway, he ended up rebooking that fight for the next month. So my mate Safe, he ended up going over to Koh Samui and fought in September. I was now booked for October against the same guy. And 13 days out from that fight, I get stupidly sick. I end up getting a sinus infection. I end up going on antibiotics, IV antibiotics. I end up taking like a vitamin drip every day just so I could make it to the fight. And then it was 7 days out from the fight. My coach calls me. He's like, can you fight? And I was like, yeah. And I hadn't trained for a week, like 13 days out. I hadn't trained since the 13 days. Now I'm 7 days out. He's like, you have to be sure that you can fight. Like, I can't say yes and then say no because the post is coming out. I was like, yes, I'm fighting. And he was like, okay. And then, yeah, I went out there and I just said to myself, like, I have to fight smart. So we go to Koh Samui, drop to the weigh-ins. I'd cut weight to 72 kilos, which I normally walk around 77 kilos. So it's not that bad, but it's not fun. 72 kilos, and I get to the weigh-ins and they say to me, oh, your opponent's changed. You're now fighting at 73 kilos and you're fighting an Irish kid. You're not fighting a Thai. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, I just cut an extra kilo. Like, I was pissed off, obviously, but I start hydrating straight away, get on the scales, make weight, and then we eat. And then I couldn't throw power in that fight. You know, I couldn't be myself. I was still able to use my technique, and I did enough to get the win. I won every round just because I was clean. I was technical. I'd hit, move. Just kind of did my thing. But I know if I was 100%, I probably would have stopped that kid, just because of my power. So anyway, moving on to the next fight, I'm booked for Koh Samui again a month later. End up stopping that kid with leg kicks. He was a good Thai. And then we end up, what was next? Yeah, okay, so I fought that Thai, and then I end up taking minimal damage, and now it's around my birthday. So around November, my parents are coming over, and I was just in a really good mindset to fight. And I just said to the coaches, like, look, if you can get me a fight in Phuket, get me a fight in Phuket while my parents are here. So I ended up fighting in Bangla. That fight is on the Bangtao YouTube channel. You can check it out down below. I'll chuck it down there. That was on November 12th. So that was my 21st birthday. I ended up having my fight. Yeah, so I ended up winning another Bangla title. So 3-time Bangla champion, mate. What a fucking weapon. And then, yeah, anyway, I wasn't really happy with that performance just because it's kind of hard to perform well at Bangla because, like, the canvas is really slippery. The round times are all over the place. Like, going back and watching that fight, like, one round is 90 seconds. One round is 2 minutes and 10 seconds. One round, like, it's just all over the place. So I said to my coaches, like, no more Bangla unless it's a big show where they're going to have proper round times and they're going to pay me and it's going to be weigh-in and all that. So I'm happy to fight at Bangla as long as those are the conditions. But anyway, nothing me bitching about that. Then I had another fight booked for Koh Samui, and I was fighting a Thai named Fas. He was good, but he was a bit older, and I went out there and knocked him out with my right hook. So that was fun. Second time I've knocked someone out unconscious. The first time was that Russian in Bangla Stadium. And then, yeah, so in this time, like, I've gotten really close with Savas, and Ajan Watt has really taken an interest in me because, like, he sees, like, this kid's active, this kid just wants to fight. And then, what do you know, 2.5 weeks later, we end up taking another fight. This time at Patong Stadium, I end up fighting a really good Turkish kid. He had really good boxing. He has dropped a couple people with his boxing in amateur fights. He's fighting every month in Phuket, so he's clearly someone that is trying to take it seriously, and he's also a kickboxing amateur world champion. So yeah, he was a hard fight, but I just did my thing. Left kick, teep, jab. Like, as long as I stayed long and I was, like, smart, I got the win. So fought that. That was for the Patong title, and I ended up winning the Patong title. I got a little bit of a cut in that fight just because of body punch, which the Thais still give me shit to for this day. When they told me to jab, teep, and knee, and I threw a punch to the body and got elbowed in the head. Or it was an elbow, but anyway, they think it was body punch. So anyway, there's a little jag that we got going on. But anyway, now I'm booked to fight in Koh Samui 2.5 weeks later. And 10 days out on New Year's Day, so January 1st, I'm sparring with one of the boys at the gym, and I get kicked in the leg, and, like, I check a kick, and I felt something in my knee go, and I'm just like, okay, I should probably stop training now. So yeah, I do what I have to do. I chill, and then the next morning I come in to Muay Thai on January 2nd. So this is the first day that the gym's officially open for the year, because New Year's Day we just went in and did our own thing. And I threw a left hand on the bag, and I just felt my knee just go. And I just looked at one of my trainers, and I was just like, my knee's fucked. And he, like, gave me this face, like, what do you mean? I just took my shit off. I went to the bathroom and I started bawling my eyes out. Like, I was so sad that I had to pull out of this fight because I just knew, like, I didn't need a professional to tell me. There are some things that happen and you just know. So yeah, that was a really frustrating and really emotional time, just because I was going to be the main event. It was going to be a big fight. It was going to be a big opportunity. And they said to me, win this fight and you're off to Bangkok. You're going to be fighting, they said RWS. So I was really excited for that. But is what it is. The universe has other plans. Spent the last few months getting my knee back to 100%. And in this time, I've been working with one of the guys at the gym, Hongu. He's really like helped stabilize my knee, stabilize everything around the knee. And also in this time, I've been working on my boxing a lot with the new Bangtao coach, Connor. He is an Irish dude. He's great, funny fella. And I've got a lot of good things on for me. Like, this clearly happened for a reason. I got my boxing a lot better, and the Thai that I'm fighting next, one of the big game plans that we got going in is using my boxing to beat this Thai, because he's a very strong kicker. He's fast, he's quick, he's agile, but my hands are going to be the difference in this fight. I've also created a lot better of a relationship with the Thai trainers, especially Crew M. Yeah, so that's one piece of advice that I would definitely give to people if they're coming out to Phuket, Thailand to train, or anywhere in Thailand to train. Make a relationship with your coach, because they're going to look after you. And like, we've gotten such a good relationship now to like, there'll be times where like I'm just dying on pads with him, and I get like a little bit of a second wind or like extra cardio just for thinking like, he's putting all this time and effort into you. You need to go out there. You need to be strong. Like, it's just a different level of motivation and strength. Like, I've heard Tyson Harrison talk about it, where it's the same thing with saying to Noyan Pitu, like, he gets an extra bit of win just from saying like, do it for Pitu. The same thing with Mike Tyson when it comes to Customado. Like, you get a little bit of extra oomph just because you're doing it for someone else. You're not just doing it for yourself. But yeah, that's basically my journey so far. You know, I'm fighting again in 6 days, I think. Yeah, 6 days. I'll fight in Koh Samui, Petra Stadium, hopefully main event. Not 100% sure until the poster comes out. But one thing that I also just want to mention is one of the reasons that I didn't go straight to Phuket is because like, I kind of saw Phuket as pussy training, whereas Bangkok is where the hard training is. And like, that's just how my mindset was, just because like, obviously Phuket's got nice beaches. Like, Bangkok is like where the best stadiums are. You've got a lot of the top level like gyms in there. You've got like PK Senchai, you've got Eminent Air, you've got all these high level gyms, Pet Yindi, all those. So yeah, I just kind of wrote Phuket off for Muay Thai, and that's why I originally wanted to come here, so I could do wrestling, not Muay Thai. But honestly, the Muay Thai, since I've been here at Bangtao, I've been here for like 9 or 10 months now, the Muay Thai has really leveled up. Like, I'm really happy with it. We've got amazing guys in here. Obviously, we've got Savas Michael, who's really taking a liking to me. Like, me and him are really close now. He's helped me a lot understand Muay Thai for Muay Thai. Like, Australian Muay Thai, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not real Muay Thai. It's like K1 with elbows. And until you understand real Muay Thai, I don't think you're a real Muay Thai fighter. There are some guys in Australia that do it really well, like Max McVicker, Chad Collins. Like, even Chad, like, he's a bit more of like a kickboxing Muay Thai style, but he has fought in the stadiums and he understands Muay Thai for Muay Thai, so he can do both. And he's obviously a Muay Thai and kickboxing world champion. You know, there's some good guys in my division, like Alfie Smith. He's got good Muay Thai, even though he spins, like, good quality Muay Thai. But like, a lot of these top level guys in Australia, they're not real Muay Thai. I'm going off on a bit of a tangent right now. But anyway, Savas has really taught me like what real Muay Thai is. And we got Sam A here, we got Lodzilla here, we've got top level coaches. Like, all the coaches here have like been world champions. Like, we got Kai Mukau here. Kai Mukau fought Sexan, fought Super Lek, beat Rod Tang. Like, he is a weapon, and we've got him as a trainer at Bangtao. We've got Crew M, who has just been amazing. Like, he's lived in Canada for 8 years, you know, doing his thing. And like, so he knows how to train foreigners and he knows how to train Thais. He's still Thai, so he's going to train you hard, but he understands the differences, and he's a really, really lovely person. We got Ajan Watt, obviously. We got Crew Beer. We got there's just so many amazing coaches here, and this is my home now. Like, I don't want to be anywhere else. I can fight here. I can live here or fighting and doing some other things for a bit of extra money. And if you want to do Muay Thai or you want to do anything in your life, just go out there and jump into it, you know? Don't pussyfoot around. Don't keep putting it off. Just do what you have to do, whether it be work for 6 months and make money, which is what I had to do, whether it's go out there and get sponsors, whether it's fight every month so you can support yourself, whether it's do something for 1 or 2 years so you can support the rest of your years. just go after your dreams. Yeah, because it is honestly the best decision that I've made in my life was coming out to Bangtao Muay Thai and MMA. Currently a sponsored fighter out of here, fighting every month, fighting as much as I can. The plan this year is to go back to Australia and beat a couple of the top names while fighting in the stadiums in Bangkok, which I'm very close to be doing. I've got 2 more fights booked, and then hopefully we're off to Bangkok or back to Australia. We'll see what happens. But I don't want to say too much about that yet. So yeah, this is just a bit of me going off on tangents and like letting you guys know what my story is. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys got some value out of it. If you guys want me to make any specific videos about anything, if you guys want to hear more about my stories, please let me know down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.